Hey there. Welcome to Brand OTC, where we answer your branding questions with a faux over the counter products. Now, in today's episode, we have a very special product called Stand Outa Max. Now, Stand Outa Max helps you to differentiate your brand from competitors. And if you're kind of dealing with market invisibility, price-based competition, or lost opportunities, this is the episode for you. All right, now, hello, hello. My name is Cynthia Akita, and I'm the brand strategist and educator here at the Design Firmacy. And I'm going to help you out today by talking about how you can make your brand stand out from competitors. I mean, who doesn't want to stand out from their competitors? I mean, no one wants to lose any business because, their competitor is doing much better in messaging than they are. So, I'm going to go through a couple of things, I think probably like 9 things that you can do or focus on in order to stand out. So let's get right into it. Now, I want to say the simple answer to this question is simply by embracing who you actually are. And when I say you, I really mean your brand. All right. So let's not confuse that there. Embrace who your brand really is because branding is like building, I always say, an invisible person for your business, right? That represents your business. And if you're building an individual, as an individual yourself, how do you typically differentiate yourself from your neighbor, from your friend, or even a sibling, right? Maybe you have a sister that looks just like you. Maybe you're a twin, and although you may be a twin, you guys are not the same, right? You guys are completely different. You may look similar on the outside, but that's not all there is to you, right? So, your style, your makeup, if you wear makeup, your voice, your tone, your clothing, all of those things help to differentiate you from the next person. But in addition to that, your character and what's on the inside of you, that helps to really differentiate you along with your story, your history and the experiences that you've endured, which have helped to shape who you are. Those are a lot of the things that help differentiate us from the person who's standing right next to us. And those are the same types of things that can help you differentiate your brand from your competitors. So, you could also think of, the most memorable person that's in your friend group, right? It's not just about what they wear, it's, the way they carry themselves, it's the story that they have, and your branding literally works in the same manner. So let's get to these talking points. So, number one, your look isn't everything, but it is actually the first thing, and that ties to your visual identity. It's the first thing that people see when they encounter your brand. It's that first impression. So, in the same manner that someone's hairstyle or their outfit, helps to give that first impression, your logo, your color palettes, and your overall design helps to grab people's attention. Now, really understand that it's about getting attention. That's how you get people through the door, by getting their attention, by appealing to what they can see, right? But at the end of the day, we know this in life and also in branding, attention without substance is not going to keep someone around. I'm sure we've all heard of or seen in movies where, someone was absolutely beautiful, but then there was nothing about them that was additionally attractive. Maybe they had a terrible attitude or so on and so forth, right? So their looks alone did not keep somebody interested in them. So the same thing applies for your brand. You could have the most stellar looking logo, the most eclectic and attention grabbing color palette, and have the most unique designs. But if that's all you have, that's literally all you have. People want more, they want substance. So make your visuals intentional and not just trendy. You want to grab their attention, but you want to keep, bring them in so that they can encounter that substance that's going to keep them um, patronizing your brand. So, all in all, your design should reflect your brand's personality. It should reflect your purpose. Yes, visuals can and should do that. So, look attract them visually, but consistency and having meaning, depth is what's going to keep you from being forgettable. And that applies to branding as well. So I'm going to make a lot of parallels with real life and branding because it's literally the same concept, just applied in a different area. So, number two is your voice really sets the tone for the entire room and for your audience. And so, in the same way that, some people are just funny naturally, or, some people are nurturing, some people are more direct and straight to the point, your brand needs to have its own tone of voice. It helps to differentiate it from competitors, right? And that's really tied to your brand persona. And so this is the way that people will recognize you in a crowded feed as you're scrolling based on your words, the way that you speak, the type of wording that you use, your rhythm, your energy, all of that. It's like, going to a party or an event with a lot of people, and you don't know exactly where your friend is, but you start hearing something and you're like, yeah, I know that voice. That's my best friend, right? So you definitely want to decide on and um like work on that voice so that people can instantly recognize that you are your brand, essentially. So ask yourself, do I speak as if I'm the best friend? Am I the coach? Am I the expert? Am I the storyteller? You could be a lot of all of these things, but it can only be identified by you, right? So maybe think, if your brand were at a brunch or at a party or at an event, like I said, how would it talk? What would it sound like? And then craft it from that point on. I also have a video about that as well. So I'll see if I can remember to like attach all of these things. But if not, go through my YouTube videos. You'll see it there plain about your tone of voice. So catch that video too. Now, number three is your story is your superpower, and that is just across the board. It applies to your branding too, and that really brings in your brand core and essentially your brand's philosophy. So everyone has a story. Even as I am speaking to you guys or recording this video, this is a part or will become a part of my story. We all have a story, and the same applies to your brand. And so think about, your purpose, your why. Why did you start? Your journey, which brought you to becoming an entrepreneur, even starting this business, because those are the things that give your brand depth. I don't know if you've ever been on a date or if you've ever gotten to know somebody, before you started dating them. I'm pretty sure you asked them about their background and said, what have you been doing? How was your upbringing? Where did you grow up? What kind of school did you go to? What was that like? Maybe they lived outside of the country. Okay, well, what was that experience like? That is the story. That is, history, right? And so a brand has that too. Maybe you, as the CEO of your business, maybe you went through a particular hardship and you couldn't find a solution anywhere. So you decided that you had to become that solution for someone else who could potentially be going through that same thing, right? And that's a story, that is history, that is part of your brand journey, right? And so that's something that you want to vocalize because it truly is your superpower. At the end of the day, your competitors, they can copy literally everything that you do, right? Your offers, your color palette, your brand style, your branding style, or your visual identity style, but they cannot copy your origin. They cannot copy why you started, how you started. They cannot steal your story. That is exclusive to you. It belongs to you. So, talk about the thing that you've overcome, or where you've come from, because that is the component of your brand that really connects with people. It really connects with your audience. I know, um, for example, Nike. I love Nike so much. I talk about their brand all the time. I used to be a sneakerhead growing up, and anytime I saved up a little bit of money, I would go to Finish Line and buy me a new pair of kicks, right? And at that time, I didn't really know what. Nike stood for, right? But it wasn't until I started growing up and seeing more of their ads and seeing the central truth around them that, you got to keep pushing, persevere, accomplish something, right? And that's what um has me still in love with their brand today. It's not because I'm still buying sneakers. I probably haven't bought sneakers in a long time, but it's because of what they stand for and how they push people to want to achieve their dreams no matter what, right? That's the story. They constantly tell stories, stories that we can all resonate with or take something from because, again, that's the thing that helps us connect to them, even if they're selling shoes or athletic wear and maybe you don't feel like you're athletic, right? But for them, they believe that anyone that has a body is an athlete and we all have bodies. So we, in their terms, are considered athletes. So their brand applies to all of us. In addition, number four is your character shows in what you value. So that's also tied to your brand philosophy. And just like people are known for their character, your brand is known by its core beliefs and its values. How were you raised, right? Again, I keep making these parallels between a brand and an actual person because it is essentially the same thing. You're building an invisible person that represents who your brand is. We were all raised on some type of a value or belief system, right? Maybe some of you believe in God, right? And that's how you were raised. And so you have certain morals, certain boundaries that you set for yourself, right? And the same should apply in your business. There should be certain values that you have that dictate how you run your business, how you interact with your audience, so on and so forth. Integrity may be one, maybe creativity is a big one for you. Maybe sourcing clean materials is a big belief and value for your brand based on what you're doing. So, really sit there and think about what you stand for and what you stand against because that is what will set you apart from another competitor. Maybe both of you guys sell toilet paper, but your value is that you want to give back to the world. Maybe you want to help people build toilets. I know Who Gives a Crap is a toilet paper company which takes a unique twist on toilet paper, right? And, they are giving back to help people. They don't want kids to be dying because they don't have access to proper toileting or toiletry or something of that sort. But if you visit their website, you'll see what their mission is, what they stand for, and what they stand against. So you want to find a way to infuse your values into your messaging, into your customer experience, and into all of your content because overall, people don't just buy what you sell, they buy what you stand for. They want to back a cause. And the cause doesn't always mean that you have to try to save the world, but it should mean something. You're trying to help somebody or you're trying to make a difference in somebody's life because that always gives your brand a different edge. And I do want to say be authentic about it. Don't just slap something onto your brand if you know that's not something you really believe in or something that you actually stand for. So, be integral in that. Number five, your style is more than just your clothes, but it is how you make people feel. And this area is tied to branded experiences. So your friends vibe, it's how they speak, how they treat people, how they show up outside, inside, wherever they are. And that's what really makes them magnetic. So your brand experience from onboarding to emails that you send out to customer service, how you answer the phone, how you answer those emails that people send out, maybe if something has gone wrong, the way that you respond to them, all of those things should be very intentional. And that should speak to how your brand is, how it represents itself, how it gives people a good experience. Like, how do you make people feel? Because that's what they're going to remember. Maybe someone may not remember what it was like to get on a roller coaster for the first time, maybe a specific one, but I'm sure they're going to remember how they felt while they were on it. I know for me, I had never been on roller coasters at a point in high school, and I went to Six Flags for the first time, and I went on all the kiddie roller coasters, and somehow, after going on the kiddie roller coasters over and over, I had psyched myself up to believe that I could handle Superman at the time. And Superman, I don't know if it's still a ride because I haven't been to Six Flags in forever, but Superman would take you up high, and then there was this huge drop before the rest of the ride continued. And because I had gone on those kiddie rides, I just remembered, or I felt so much that I could conquer this big, humongous ride, y'all. I I had lost my mind because I was screaming the whole time. I couldn't even breathe. Like, we were all it was me and a group of my friends, and all like, I don't remember where in the park we went. I didn't remember seeing any trees or, like, the, not the skyline, but, like, seeing town because there are houses that are by Six Flags. I didn't remember any of that. All I could remember was the fact that my insides were just going up and down, like, I could feel my heart all like, my body parts were not where they were supposed to be. That's what it felt like being on that roller coaster. And in the same manner, the way that you make people feel is exactly what they're going to remember. If you gave them a great experience, they will always remember that you responded well and that you took good care of them. If you give them a bad experience, they're going to remember that you were mean and disrespectful and you didn't care about the fact that something didn't go the way that they expected it to go. So, overall, your brand is not just what it looks like, but it's how you treat people or how it treats people. So, that is an important way to differentiate yourself from your competitors. The next one, number 6, is your circle may do similar things, but nobody does it like you. And that is tied to your brand positioning. So maybe all of your friends are creative, maybe they're driven or funny, but each of them have a different set of flavor. Your brand should clearly state how you're different, even if you're selling the same service. There can be a line. I'm sure you've gone somewhere or gone to an event or a block party where there were a bunch of food trucks, right? Maybe all the food trucks sold hot dogs, but I could almost guarantee you that every single truck was not the same, even though they sold hot dogs, right? And so the same applies here. Your brand should clearly show how it is different from the next person. So you really have to bring in some confidence here. You really have to own how unique you are, your unique skills, your background, your approach, because those are the things that truly set you apart. It's not just about being better, but it's about being different in a way that's actually true to your brand. Number 7, your consistency builds recognition. That ties in with your branded touch points. So let's say you have a friend that switches up their whole identity every single week and they become hard to trust. Like, you just cannot trust somebody who is always switching up. There's no safety in that, and people are giving you their hard-earned money, they're giving you their time, and they want to find a level of safety in whatever it is that you're providing. So, your brand should always show up consistently across platforms. And that's not just about the visuals. It's in the way that you speak, the way that the experience you provide, like when it comes to emails, the voice and the tone with which you answer people. Your packaging should be consistent. That's visual, social media posts. There are so many areas where you can be consistent that is not just tied to your visuals. So consistency is in everything. Consistency helps to build trust, and it also helps to build recognition as well. People can easily spot you when you are consistent. So when people feel familiar, it helps to build that trust, it helps to build that loyalty. But if you confuse people, you're going to lose them. If you confuse them, you're going to lose them, and it's not worth it. Especially if you want to grow your brand, right? Consistency will always win attention and earn belief just because of what it is. It's consistent, it's safe, and that's what you want your audience to feel. Number 8, your signature move makes you memorable. And we're getting closer to the end, don't worry. And that kind of ties in with your framework, your branded framework. So just like every standout friend has a thing, you have the dancer, the planner, the encourager. your brand needs a signature framework or a method that you adhere to, because this is what makes your offers easier to understand and trust. And, you know, a signature framework or method would be similar to, or an example could be, um, when you, let's say you have a juicing or smoothie type of shop, and your method is that you have a method on how you source. Okay, maybe I only source locally, but in sourcing locally, I have a specific checklist that I go through to ensure that my items are ethically sourced and that they are safe and healthy for my audience. In addition to that, maybe you have a specific framework on how you make sure that these ethically and locally sourced goods are clean, and safe for your audience, right? Okay, maybe I soak them in vinegar and baking soda for 3 days or something. That's probably a lot, but maybe that's your process, right? And then after that, I rinse them and I wash them, and after that, I put them in a second soak of vinegar and baking soda, and then after that, I do X, Y, and Z. That is your signature framework or your method. All right. And that's something that you don't want to, like, you shouldn't think that, oh, it's that's just what we do. That is a process that you could essentially monetize down the line by teaching other people the value in it. So I don't want you guys to belittle the way that you do things. There are a million ways to do things, and they may not get the same result wherever they're done. And so anything that comes out of your mind is valuable. So know that your those signature moves, those signature methods, those signature frameworks are a great way to set yourself apart from the next person, because you can teach people to associate your name with a very unique way that you solve problems. And so you definitely don't want to belittle that. Signature systems make you the go-to person, and not just one of so many. That's one of the things that really makes you special and helps you to stand out. Number nine is that your story is still being written. Now, that has to do a lot to do with just growth and your brand evolving. You're not static. You're going to grow, you're going to change, you're going to evolve. Your brand is going to do those things. And so, even if you have a friend, there you're always going to have a friend that grows, that learns, that evolves, you know, um, experiences, knowledge, like taking in information causes you to do that. And as a brand, you're bringing in information. You're putting things out there, you're seeing what sticks, you're seeing how people respond, and then you're consuming that information, and then revising it or auditing it to see how best you can um, best serve your audience all over again. So people are watching you, they're seeing what you do with their feedback. You should care about their feedback. You should share your process, share behind the scenes, let people grow with you. People love watching ooh, people love watching a brand bloom. And in the same way that they love to see their friend glow up or mature, the same way you would love to see, how your niece grows up. My niece recently turned 10 years old, and I was reminiscing on how she was born, when she was born, and how I used to babysit her and sing to her and all of those things. Like, we love to see the journey. So don't keep your audience out of that. They don't just want to see perfection. Or it's not that they just want to see that. They don't even want to see perfection. They just want to see authenticity. So if you give them an opportunity to really see what you're doing, how you're building, and what you're working on, it really helps to strengthen that relationship that you're building with them. And then the last one, finally, number 10, the real ones last longer than the loud ones. So I'm sure you've heard, like, in an argument, the loud person is not typically the one that's telling the truth. So trends will fade, but authenticity is really what stands sure and endures. So don't try to outshout your competitors by being loud or, being so out there and in people's faces. But the way that you can outshine them essentially is by out clarifying them. Like, have clarity in your message and the things that you do, because the clearer your message is, the more people will understand and the more chances that they will have to really see that you are truly for them, and go on to patronize your business. The brand that knows who they are will always outlast the one who is faking it, the one who doesn't know, the one who is just going based off of trends, the one who is just winging it. You will always outlast them simply because you're authentic. So be loud in your identity and who you are as a brand and not just in your marketing. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. I want to invite you guys to our challenge that we're having coming up soon. I'll drop the commercial for that again, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Discover what sets your brand apart, then say it with confidence. What's Your Secret Sauce is a free 3-day challenge designed to help entrepreneurs uncover the unique flavor that makes their brand unforgettable. Through guided prompts, live training, and powerful clarity exercises, you'll identify what truly sets you apart and how to communicate it in a way that connects and converts. If you've ever struggled to stand out in a crowded market or explain what makes you different, this challenge will give you the breakthrough you need. You'll walk away with your personalized secret sauce recipe, a clear, compelling blend of your brand's strengths, purpose, and positioning that makes selling feel natural. Join us by visiting brandmysecretsauce.com. You're doing all the things: posting content, updating your website, running ads, tweaking your offers, but still wondering, why isn't this working? Truth is, you might be focusing on areas that look productive, but aren't actually moving the needle. The Brand Vitals assessment helps you stop guessing and start targeting. It's like a wellness checkup, but for your brand. You'll gain crystal clear insight into the 9 essential areas every brand needs to thrive. No fluff, no filler, just facts about where your brand stands and what needs your focus. Because clarity is the first step to real momentum. And when you know where to focus, you start to see progress, not just activity. Get out of busy work. Get into brand building that actually works. Take the Brand Vitals assessment now. Have you tapped into your Firmacy benefits? As a beneficiary, you unlock special offers, gifts, and always stay in the loop. Subscribe today to receive your exclusive dose. Visit firmacybenefits.com.